All right. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to our YouTube live event to talk about our math roadmaps. If you don't know us, hi, I am Ashley Doty,
I'm Andy Canaday.
and we are with Uncomplicated, trying to manage all of the technology here. So it's still fairly new to us. I live in Florida. I'm up here in Jacksonville, and I've been a teacher, coach, assistant principal, now founder and CEO of Uncomplicated. Andy?
And I am Andy Canaday. I'm a former educator and district leader living in South Florida.
And we are here to help just uncomplicate the math roadmaps today. And we're going to do this sort of interview style. So Andy is going to be interviewing me. And Andy, your main role at Uncomplicated, can you say what you do just real quick so people know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am the strategic partnership specialist. So what that means in a nutshell is that I support schools get all of the products and services that Uncomplicated offers. So I am part of a wonderful team to get all of the great things we do into your hands.
Awesome. So before we get started, looking at the chat, if you are on here with us, it looks like you do need a YouTube account in order to live chat. But I'm also going to keep monitoring our Facebook group, the Uncomplicating Florida's Best Standards. I'm going to be monitoring our Facebook Uncomplicate Ed page. So if you've got questions and you're not able to do it through the YouTube, through the YouTube. Oh man, I sound old. If you're not able to do it through YouTube, then you can post your questions or comments on either one of those pages, and I will do my very best to switch task back and forth. So, yep, I'm looking at our Facebook page now where we just posted going live in 2 minutes. So that's where you can put your comments is in that thread. Or like I said, in our Uncomplicating Florida's Best Standards group where I'm going to be monitoring that well. So with that, Andy, what you got for me? Ask
All
away.
right. All right. Well, thank you for multitasking. You've got a lot on
I'm
your
trying.
plate.
It's a myth. Wait. It's a myth. I'm
That
switch
is true.
tasking. I'm
That
switch
is
tasking.
true. There you go. All right. So let's get into it. What are they? What are the math roadmaps?
Yeah, so many people might be familiar with our reading roadmaps to mastering reading comprehension with Florida's best standards. And we have been asked for years to create one for math. And this has been over 2 years, I would say, in the making, and we are in the home stretch. So, what the math roadmaps are, they're meant to be a tool, a resource to help empower educators, to equip them, and to inform them. So, really, we think of like a try-then, where we want to inform people with, hey, what is the most recent research with how children learn math? Like, how do we get math in and make it stick? So, we wanted to inform. We also wanted to equip with a tool that made it easy. You know, we're all about uncomplicating it here. So not because teachers can't do this themselves, but to uncomplicate their lives for them just a little bit, and then to empower them. So giving them some of the tools and tips. We're going to see teacher tips in there for what are some ways to help the learning stick. And one of my favorite phrases is to interrupt the forgetting. So that is a big part of what that's like high view zoom out of what the math roadmaps are. Does that answer your question?
You did, but let's dig a little
Okay.
bit deeper as to
Okay.
why. What problem are we really trying to solve with the math roadmaps?
Ooh. Oh, great. I see Spring Creek Charter is on. Hello, Amanda.
Ooh.
Yay from Spring Creek. By the way, shout out to Spring Creek Charter. They're the people that inspired the reading roadmap. So if you want to go down that road, Amanda, you also inspired these because of how much they've been. So, okay, so what problem are we trying to solve with these math roadmaps? So I already mentioned the idea of informing, equipping, and empowering teachers, but also I think there's been a lot of attention given to science of reading, which is fantastic. I think science of math has not been given as much attention, and part of that is because the depth of research isn't as prevalent out there. So that's why I said it's been taking us years on this project because we've been digging through what does the evidence say of how children learn math best, and so what are the teacher moves to help them get that. So problem trying to solve is curriculums. In my experience, they fall short. They don't embody what the science of math is. To that point, and I don't work for a curriculum company, as you can tell. Many of them are not actually built from the ground up from Florida's best. right? They are built mostly probably from Common Core, and then they try to map the skills to make them work. And for the most part, it hits it. But as all of us in Florida know, there are some very unique things to Florida mathematics that maybe a curriculum might miss the mark. So we really did want to make teaching math easier, and so therefore make learning math achievable for students.
Great answer. All right. So tell me a little bit how they are different from the Big M.
Ooh, that's a great question. So I will be honest with you, Andy, when we were first asked to make math roadmaps, I was like, what's a big M? It's so robust, right? I think the state did a fabulous job with the big M's and all of the resources that they put in there. One area that I still think could use some uncomplicating, which is where our math roadmaps come in, is the learning progression and the true connection across math skills. So, well, I love the purpose and instructional strategies in the Big M. I love the strategy to support tiered instruction. And obviously, we used a lot of that in our resource. But what the math roadmap is meant to do is, and I heard this phrase, by the way, from a teacher from our reading roadmaps. She said, our roadmaps are like a bridge from standard to student. And I just
That's
kind of want to hit that
wonderful.
again, a bridge from standard to student. So we'll look here in a second when I demo some of the things, but what does it look like? Just like our reading ones, where it kind of was a spiral throughout the year. It doesn't necessarily work like that in math, right? Um, you could tell I'm so passionate about this. One of my favorite phrases in all the research that I've been doing over the past couple of years is math is relentlessly hierarchical. Math is relentlessly hierarchical. So there are some things we know that students like I cannot pass go and collect $200. I will be stuck if I don't get this one skill. And so one of the things we did with the roadmaps is we said in one grade level or course, which are the benchmarks that within that one grade level, if they don't get this early, forget about some of the major stuff later. So we help to, not that teachers can't do that, right? But to make it easier for them. And again, to pull in the research. So we said, okay, let's say within second grade, which of the benchmarks are like a do not pass go? Like if you can't get this within the first quarter or the first semester, they're really going to, you're just going to be like square peg round holing it, trying to get new learning in when they didn't master this other thing back here. So that's part of one of the problems that we're trying to solve. And then also the student anchor chart. So making math visible for students through the student anchor charts. That was a lot, Andy.
That was a lot, but I want to dig even deeper. I want you to tell me a little bit about this MOST framework.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, and I'm just quick checking to see if there's any comments on anything. Again, shout out to Spring Creek over there. Love it. Okay, I don't see anything else on as of yet or in the YouTube chat. Da, 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 da. Oh, I do. Jocelyn says, me too. Spring Creek, woo. So hi, Jocelyn. Okay, MOST framework. Okay, this is what people get really excited about. And honestly, it is like, it was the start of the math roadmaps. So MOST is, I know, another acronym. I know, acronym. I know. But the idea is that in math, everything's important, right? Like you can't say, well, I can't really teach geometry this year, but that's okay. Like everything's important, but which things matter most? It's like a balance of weight on the benchmarks and also a relationship among the benchmarks. So actually, can I share my screen and just show you on this one, Andy?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, I think the glasses have to come back on. All right. So let me share screen and see if I can get this to work. Hopefully a Adobe just pulled up here, a PDF. And I'm going to show you, there's a few things I want to show you in here, but I'm going to start with that MOST framework. Okay, right there. So let's make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. There we go. So Andy, can you see my screen?
I can. It looks great.
Oh,
It's clear.
okay. Perfect. All right. So very simple MOST framework. What this is we've identified which benchmarks, and I'll get more into that in a second. Which benchmarks are we identifying as major, meaning it will take the whole year to master them. So think just about anything with word problems, like real world problems. It should and will take the students all year to master them. And so it's sort of like this is that empower part. It's like it's okay, teachers. Like let it take all. We want to progress it to make sure they're going to hit it by the end of the year. But this one's okay to let it sit and marinate all year. That's major. Okay. Um, Ongoing means it's just going to keep coming back. The best example I have for this one are all those true false benchmarks in elementary. If you teach elementary, you know exactly what I mean. So they determine if an equation is true or false. Like that's going to keep showing up. Plotting, ordering, and comparing numbers. We're always going to do that. The skill itself kind of remains, but the complexity increases with my number sets. So that's ongoing. Like we're just kind of never going to stop it. Okay, it's just going to keep going. Stepping stones linked to majors. These are the ones I was just saying where math is relentlessly hierarchical. So well, I should say fourth grade. In fourth grade, what are those benchmarks within fourth grade that I need to get earlier in the year so that I can get to the majors? So every stepping stone links to a major. So it's like, okay, they have to have this one skill or these skills in order to get to solving word problems, let's say. So that's a huge one there. And then I love the targeteds. The targeteds are the ones, think isolation. They typically get hit in isolation. You see these show up a lot in measurement, sometimes in geometry, sometimes in data and probability. They like sometimes live in their own unit and they go for however long their unit is, let's say 20 days. Students seem to do okay with it. And then it's not really touched again. It would be very easy to forget it, let's say. Easy for the teacher, but easy for the students. So with that one, we say, okay, yeah, teach it in a quick hit, that's fine, but here's how you can interrupt the forgetting. Here's how to bring it back so that they do not forget elapsed time, for example. That's my favorite. That's my favorite one because it was not my favorite one when I taught third grade. So, and this is the sample as well, which is available on our website. You can see the sample. Um, but this is in there. It kind of goes into a little bit more explanation of what the MOST framework is.
So how will we see this within the roadmap itself?
Okay. Um, yeah, so let's go to that. Let me show you some examples. I'm going to show you kindergarten, and a third, a fifth, and a sixth. Okay, but let's start with kindergarten. And I'm just, again, while we're on pause, going to check and see if we have any other questions coming in. Perfect, perfect. Seeing that. Okay, awesome. Let me go back to uncomplicated. People are like, I don't have questions, just keep going. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we're calling them phase pages. Now, if you're familiar with our reading roadmaps, these would have been called the rubric pages. But just like I said before, like reading those comprehension things keep coming back up, right? I'm gonna find the theme of a text in the beginning of the year and the middle of the year and the end of the year. And in fact, I'm gonna find it like pretty much K-12, right? Like there's something always do with theme. Whereas with math, because it's hierarchical, that looks a little bit different. So I'm going to show you an example from each of the MOST. I also want to point out, you see this A and B that's here? So the state
Yes.
didn't do that, and we've kind of made it, we make it really clear in the roadmaps. That's what we added. And we added it when like there was a skill that was way too robust to be thought of in isolation. So we were like, let's split this puppy up. So you're going to see that here. Let's take a look. This is a stepping stone. I know it's a stepping stone because it's purple and it's got the stepping stone icon. And by the way, this star means it's a star focus skill. So my K2 people, I'm already telling you, star, Renaissance, star math has identified this as a star focus skill. Okay, so we have the standard up here, we have the benchmark, but you asked specifically, Andy, about the MOST framework.
Right. Where
Okay,
are we
so
going to see that?
yes, yes. Okay, so Here's where the stepping stone comes in as part of most. Everything, by the way, has a pre-phase, regardless if it's MOS or T, has a pre-phase, a phase one, a phase two, a phase three. So I'm going to get to your question, I promise, Andy, but I know one of the things that you have said you love, and in talking with schools that they have loved, is pre-phase.
Yes.
So we wanted to say, hey, teacher, and again, they probably already know this, but naming it, coding it, or maybe they don't. Maybe they're new to the grade level or they're new to teaching. Okay. What are some of the skills that they need to have before you even start teaching this? And we also named where that skill shows up. So we're looking at kindergarten. So I've gone through those VPK standards and I've said, hey, if you're now I know not all kindergartners go to VPK. Okay, I know that. But naming it here, it did show up in VPK here, here, and here. And in upper grades, you'll see that. Well, they got it in fourth and third, whatever. Okay. And you'll see in a minute.
Perfect for vertical alignment. Perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a good point. You'll also see on some of the other benchmarks that it might be a skill within that grade level. Like they need to have learned this earlier in the year to be able to now access this new learning. Okay. So in stepping stones, you're going to see phase one, beginning of the learning. And here's the skills. By the way, we went ahead and said CRA, concrete representational abstract. Okay, that's one of the pieces of what the evidence says students need to learn. And again, it's empowering our educators to say, yes, it is okay for them to hold things here. It's concrete, let them. At this point, though, they need to be representing it in some way with drawings, pictures, that sort of thing. And then you'll see some that are abstract. This is Kender, so we don't see as much right here. But we, again, empower and inform educators. Teacher tips, that's great. But now I'm finally going to get to your question, Andy. Specifically stepping stone in most, we will have what does mastery look like of this benchmark, but here is the how is it applied. So in other words, for this stepping stone, what's it getting them to? What is it stepping to? That's a question we keep asking on the team when we're looking at a step. What is it stepping to? Now, Kinder folks, you're going to see, I mean, this is so foundational. It steps to almost everything else in Kinder, but we will name there what it steps to. And then because this is a do not pass go, do not collect $200 benchmark, we also said, hey, if the kids still have not mastered it, because you might need to move on, but they're not going to be able to learn the new information because they're still stuck here. Here's something you can do. So if it's not mastered, yes, you can go through the phases, but here's also what else you can do. So I'll come back to some of those other things.
So helpful.
Yeah. So here's, again, the most showing up. Here's an ongoing. The beginning is similar to stepping stone, but instead it says how to keep it alive. So I'm basically, in other words, how is this ongoing? How are you going to keep it ongoing? Targeted, those for those isolation. This is like my favorite one, just because I love the wording. This is mastering and retaining. So they can live in isolation, but we don't want it to. So we say how to prevent forgetting. And then the big old boys, here's the majors. By the way, we can see even STAR, Renaissance, STAR Math, identified there are 2 focus skills with this one benchmark. We give them a whole nother phase of working to mastery until we get to what mastery looks like. So I know that was a long answer, but it is such at the heart and soul of these roadmaps. Did that answer your question, Andy?
It did. It did. The intentionality is meaningful and purposeful. And some of the feedback that we've gotten over these have been the teacher tips and what does mastery look like? Very intentional, very purposeful. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you for that. So, big question. How do you see a teacher using these?
Okay. I mean, in the planning process, I see it in the beginning. I always talk about, if you've been to any of our trainings, I see some other folks on. Savannah, hello. Katie's like, I can't wait. Give me the 5th grade example. It's coming, Katie. So Umatilla on, welcome you guys. I see a teacher using these in planning. So when I'm getting ready to teach the skill, what are some things like to give me the background knowledge? You know, we also include down at the bottom, if you haven't, I don't know if you guys can see it on your screen, but the clarifications are here as well. And anything that I was like, it was kind of buried in the purpose and instructional strategy of the Big M. but I wanted to call extra attention to it. So we put that in here. The vocab, I see that as a big one for teachers. We all know that vocabulary and mathematics can sometimes be the barrier. Whether English is their first language or not, sometimes there's just heavy vocab. So we put not necessarily the vocab from the big M, but like practical, what do we want to hear the students saying and using in our classrooms? I also see teachers using it for the materials. So there's manipulatives, but there's also material suggestions, the MTRs. And honestly, as formal principal and teacher, I love the connecting part. And those of you that are reading road mappers, this is when we really leveled up. Okay. So we said not only what are connecting benchmarks within mathematics, but are there other connecting benchmarks in other subject areas? Because we always know we want to be cross-curricular. We want to be, I don't think any teacher is not bought in to wanting to be cross-curricular. It's like, you've told me to do it, I'm in. Can someone just uncomplicate it for me though? Because I don't have time. And I
Right.
don't know any curriculum out there that makes it cross-curricular for you. Until now, except for we're not a curriculum. So we said, not only do these math ones connect, but like here's an ELA one that connects, retelling events in order. And this one's counting in order. This is a typo here, V11, academic language. Great. Here's a social studies one that talks about chronological thinking, calendars, and dates. Because we know we never feel like we have enough time to teach social studies. This can give you an intentional tie-in. Like you're not just teaching starting at a given number, count forward within 100. You are also teaching days of like how we count within a month on a calendar, and that ties to social studies. And you'll see a couple in here that also tie to like science that pop up at the bottom. Here's one for the economics piece of social studies. Y'all, we put it all together because we wanted to uncomplicate it. So that's how I see a teacher using it beforehand. I also see a teacher using it during because these are skills I can observe. So can the student identify first, second, third? Can the student point or move an object? Can the student use ordinal words? And let me actually go to some of the upper grades. Give Katie there what she wants here. I'll stop at third grade first. Here's a third grade one. Can the student create equal groups using manipulatives? So these are all in like active action verbs. So if it were me as a teacher, I'd probably have this as I'm circulating. I would have it as a built-in check for understanding. And I would sure as heckers have this at a small group table for any reteacher one-on-one. So can they do these things? And by the way, let me go back a little bit. I want to show you the skills checklists because these come with the roadmaps as a digital. You are literally going to get a skills checklist for every one of our phase pages. That tells you in one sheet of paper, what are the skills in the pre-phase for this benchmark? Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So if you've got a student that is struggling, I would print this baby out and like put the kid's name at the top and literally start checking to see where does the learning break down. So when you think about this for support personnel as well, like total game changer.
Absolutely.
Let me
Absolutely.
go ahead to
Great
your next
formative.
question, Andy. I'm going to stop on fifth grade for Katie.
Oh, okay. All right. So you talked a little bit about cross-curricular. So what about scope and sequence? This isn't a curriculum
Right.
guide, but talk to me a little bit about scope and sequence. How can this maybe be used as scope and sequence?
Sure. So in a perfect world, in a perfect world, we would be able to, we will share a suggestion scope and sequence. However, we know the reality in the field is that some teachers have the autonomy to do whatever they want. Like as long as kids learn, I don't care, do what you want. So they got full autonomy, which will be great for the scope and sequence. Like use ours. Some maybe have mid autonomy. They're like, yes, you have to use STEM scopes. Shout out to Spring Creek. Yes, you have to use STEM scopes, and you've got some flexibility though. Like maybe you can move units around. Maybe that's what you guys. You kind of mid autonomy. And then there's some schools and districts where they're like, sorry, babe, it is day 23, so I need you on chapter 4, lesson 2, page 27. So we're going to have in the roadmap how to use this at each point. I will say though, if more schools could get into science of mathematics, they will see that the most major change you can make is in your scope and sequence with mathematics. So, in fact, we had one teacher in our Facebook group. I don't even know who she is. She was just like, I used your free scope and sequence you shared, and our proficiency went up over 20 percentage points this year over last year, and we attribute it all to your focus calendar. And the reason why is because we interleave concepts and we distribute practice. So interleaving and distribution, that's what our suggested scope and sequence is. I don't know of any curriculum out there that does it, even though that is what all evidence says works best. However, I think we could perhaps this could be the tool that helps convince folks that there is a different way to approach teaching mathematics that will actually help the learning stick.
Great. Love it. Love it. Love it. So you touched on the skill checks. What about some of the anchor charts?
Great. By the way, Katie, if you're still on here, there's your fifth grade one. It's an ongoing, a DP. Okay, and so just want to pause on Katie's. You can see there's some stuff from third grade and fourth grade, as well as within fifth grade, those that are pre-phases. I really like too the teacher tips. I just want to say that. So teacher tips, how to keep it alive as it's ongoing throughout the year. So there you go. And if you have other questions, Katie, feel free to holler. Let me show you some of the student anchor charts. So let me go back a little bit. Let me go. This is a good one. This is a good one. So this is a Kinder one. It links to this NSO 1.3, which we currently have as a targeted. So at the top, I would do this as a choral read with my students. What's missing here, and that will be added, is italicizing the verbs, underlining the nouns, kicking it old school. It's just like what we did in our reading roadmaps as well, so that the students know, what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to identify an object in a line using the words, so heavy vocab, right? First, second, third, or fourth. Now, the kicker for this benchmark is the students knowing left from right, by the way. And even if you don't teach kinder, you might have students still struggling with that in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So we wanted to make it visible, a lot of white space, intentional color. We have student characters, and we made it a point to be very diverse with our student characters. We've got equal boys, girls. We've got different ethnicities. We've got different, like some students in glasses, some students not. So we really tried to be diverse so the students can see themselves on the charts. And then we also identified at the bottom, so here's that targeted, but then also a student can know, I'm going to have to, like this is verbal, I'm going to have to say the triangle is second from the left. And I'm also going to have to identify it. So pointing, and that's what that is here. So again, all the research behind, whether that's Hattie or many others, that students knowing how they are going to have to demonstrate their learning right here on the student anchor charts.
I love that. I love the icons out the bottom so that everybody knows and it's crystal clear. Love that.
Yeah.
So we've talked.
Amanda added, these are so beneficial for our new and veteran math teachers. Can't wait to order for our third grade team. Yeah, totally agree. We have Team Tiger here from Jacksonville. Hey, can you talk a bit about second grade as well? So second grade is like my babe. I love second grade. So give me just a second, TG Tiger, Team Tiger, and I will get to second grade because I didn't build it into this PDF. But I have no problem pulling an Audible and pulling up for you what I've got for second grade so far. So give me just a second on that, Team Tiger. I'm sorry, Andy. I am switch tasking.
Oh no, I'm loving it. Loving.
What did I not answer yet? Oh, you know, we haven't answered. How would a coach use this tool?
Yeah, we're not there yet. I wanted to finish up, round out all the teacher information. You know, we talked about vertical alignment. We talked about phases. We talked about teacher tips. But so in thinking about the intentionality and looking at the different roles that can use these math roadmaps, let's definitely talk about coaches. Big shout out to instructional coaches. They need our love too. So coaches, how are we going to get them engaged with the math roadmaps?
I love it. Okay, so I've sat in the coach's seat too, so I came from that perspective. Um, so I would use this in a few different ways. One, assisting the teachers I support in planning. So if we're co-planning, I would use this. If we have PLCs or data conversations, I would pull this out. Um, Kind of with the scope, because we were trying to help all teachers, regardless of their autonomy with scope and sequence, we can use the phase one, phase two, phase three to determine where are our students currently in the learning of this benchmark. Okay, hey, Ashley King, woohoo, Ashley. So I might in my data conversation say, okay, I see you're working on NSO11, where they're representing a number of objects with a written numeral. Where are we in this learning? Like, have they had it at all yet? No? Okay, so we're in phase one. Have they had it a little bit yet, but they're not quite to mastery? Okay, let's look at the phase two column. And then we think they're at mastery. Okay, let's do kind of a check. Can they do all these things at mastery? So I would use it in some of those data conversations and co-planning for certain co-planning. But I also think this would be super helpful in observations. And by the way, I think this also hits building administrators. So I'm just going to put them together if that's okay,
Absolutely.
Andy. So
100%.
again, I was a coach and a building administrator. I wanted to be an expert in every benchmark in every grade level, but that's not possible. Even if you're just a K2 school or a six, that's not possible. Like as much as you want it, it's not even feasible to hold your brain with that much. Okay. So we need a tool that's easy for us to observe. Rigor is one of those buzzwords. Are my teachers teaching at the level of rigor that the benchmark demands at this point in the year? And that last part, I could like soapbox for life because in mathematics in particular, in October, there are some benchmarks that they shouldn't even have mastered yet. So we're like earlier in the phases, right? Like if
Right.
it's solving one and two step word problems and it's October, are we at one step? I've got months to get to two step. The cognitive load's too heavy to get to two step yet. So when I'm walking in the middle of the year and I'm looking at, let me find one of the major ones again. Here on this one, started a giving number, count forward within 100. I might say, okay, they are in like the middle of learning. So I know I only need to give feedback right here in phase two. It would be unfair and honestly developmentally not appropriate if the teachers are here. Now, and I'm talking like a standard course. I'm not talking the accelerated or advanced courses, but I can use this, basically what I'm saying, to really, what's the word I want to use? Calibrate on appropriate rigor for appropriate time of year. And I just want to reiterate, um, we can have appropriate teaching rigor, but also appropriate learning rigor, right? Not lowering the learning. And someone just asked for middle school, so I'll hang out on the sixth grade one for your next
Nice.
question there.
I can
There's a
see
sixth grade one.
these being
Mhm.
coupled with the checklist, the phases being
Yes.
coupled with the checklist for RTI data points.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. This would be
MTSS
such a
for the
phenomenal
win.
tool. Yep, that
Yeah.
absolutely right where I'm going.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we talked a little bit about the roles, different roles, the teacher, the coach, the administrator, maybe
Mhm.
dive into MTSS a little bit, RTI process.
Yep.
So is there training?
Yes, there will be training. That kind of
What's
came out of our. Go ahead, Andy.
what's it
What'd you
going to
say?
look like? What
Sure.
is the training going to look like?
So yes, so we had another question pop in.
Oh,
Training will look like not only like what are these and how to use them, but um, the science of mathematics with it. So kind of the why behind it, but then also the how behind it. So how do I take not just this research, which is great, but one of the things that is my favorite training is let's take your curriculum, bring out your Savvis or Envision or whatever, Go Math. Let's bring it and bring the math roadmaps because the math roadmaps are truly grounded in B.E.S.T, right? The curriculum is not. It's an attempt at mapping. So let's bring them together and see, yes, I love this term Go Math, absolutely keep it, but I notice it's missing this. So let me infuse it here so it can really help to be the bridge between it. And that's part of what the training would be as well. But it also will be on how to teach mathematics with the teacher taking limited trips to the copier because we think that it mostly has to be handouts and worksheets because like that may be all we know and it's the easy low hanging fruit. Once we learn that there is another way, you will see, oh my goodness, I don't need as many handouts. I can use more graphic organizers in mathematics, better utilize perhaps my whiteboards and dialogue and discourse to support mathematical learning, and fewer trips to the copier. So that's part of what the training would look like. And so the way that kind of came about, by the way, is with our reading roadmaps. People bought them and they're like, hey, we love them. Can you come train? And we are like, huh, good idea. So yes, we will definitely have that for the math roadmaps as well.
I love that. I love that. The ongoing support that
Yeah.
Uncomplicated provides is incredible. So
Ooh,
tell me a little bit about the packaging.
okay. Yeah, these are fully printed resources. So they are spiral bound, full color copy, glossy paper, just like our reading roadmaps were. So they are in hand. It's not something you have to download and then go print. They will get mailed to you on shiny, pretty, glossy paper. Um, they are by grade level or course because they're so darn thick, right? The reading ones, we only focused on the R standard, the reading comprehension. So we were able to package them as K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 12 because we are doing literally every benchmark. And like sixth grade, I think has the most benchmarks, except for algebra, which I see Donna has a question. Do you have anything for algebra one you can show today? Algebra has 50 something benchmarks, you guys. It's banana pants. So to have a phase page for every algebra benchmark, for example, and a student anchor chart, and the intro, which I'm going to get back to. I know this is like, so there's an introduction too that goes behind what they are, what they aren't, science of math, how to use them. It was just too thick. So that's going to come in one book per grade level or course. And then they're automatically, so you're going to get the student anchor charts printed in here, but then you're also automatically going to get digital and print access to these. So that's a change from our reading. We were like, you know what, let's just remove this barrier. People want to print them. They're great for focus boards or whatever you call them at your school. So we're going to give you print access with them as well. You're going to get the digital access to the skills checklist, these puppies, and then add-ons that will come later. Can I do like a super sneak peek, Andy?
Okay.
Okay. We're also going to have prereq checks. So in other words, here's a VPK one. On that pre-phase, what do my students already know about this and where do they not? So I know if I can start teaching it. So it's a lot more specific than STAR Math. That's a good place to start. Or FAST PM1. It's a good place to start. But this goes by each benchmark. And we're going to have checks for understanding. So here's an example. These will be add-ons later, all digital add-ons later, but checks for understanding that are cross-curricular where possible. So for example, students in kindergarten have to know US symbols. So why not have them count flags? You see what I'm saying? Like that is
Yep.
an easy way to make it cross-curricular, but the focus is still math. I'm just
Hmm.
saying count the flags or count the moons. There you go, a science connection. Count the number of letters, ELA connection. Like we really tried to put into the thought behind it, but then also spark ideas for teachers behind it as well.
That's a
So
great
there you
thought
go. That's the
process
packaging.
for those that teach math and ELA to have
Right.
both right
Yes.
there, right
Yeah.
at
If
the
I teach all
fingertips.
subjects. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I quick, Andy wanted to show Donna. I don't have any of the phase pages to show you today, Donna, but here's the cover art if you want to see it. Um, actually was just on with our person who's primarily writing algebra either yesterday, either the day before. And we're actually going to make it one algebra book, not split it up algebra honors versus algebra standard versus algebra 1A, 1B. It's going to be all algebra, but we are going to denote because I think we counted there are 6 benchmarks in algebra honors that are not in standard. So we're going to highlight them a different color. We're going to be able to identify, hey, these are the 6 that are just in standard. And then we're also going to denote which ones are part of algebra 1A, 1B, because that course keeps coming and going, whatever. And then the geometry one's going to be similar. So it's going to be one geometry book that also includes the extra 6 or 8 that go to honors. Oh, I'm so glad you like it, Donna. I'm so glad you like it. All right. Was that all the questions, Andy? Did I get them all?
I think think so. We've touched on a lot, and we've gone deeper than just some of the initial questions that I knew people had been
Ooh.
asking previously. So this is great. I mean, I am just excited to get these into everyone's hands so that we can
Yep.
see the spike in student achievement for math. Once, you get the roadmaps, you use your vertical alignment, you do all of the great things that teachers do to teach mathematics to our students. I predict a big spike next year.
Ah,
So,
yes.
um, I I have one last burning question. If
Okay,
you
can you
don't
hold
have
it?
anything else,
Yes, hold it,
absolutely.
Andy, because I want to get back to Team Tiger, who asked about second grade. Okay, I did not forget
Okay,
about you.
perfect.
Okay, so
Perfect.
I'm peeling back the curtain here. I'm going to peel back the curtain. Okay. So you are seeing in this curtain pullback are one of our major hubs for our entire project. Okay. Yay, Ivor. Hi, how are you? So I'm going to show you our second grade notes. It's not what this is all the background. Okay. I'm just showing you background. So this is for Team Tiger, who asked for second grade. So what you can see, and again, this isn't final product. This is all the background that goes into building these puppies. So there's the science standards linked. What we did, and I'm actually speaking personally because I'm working on second grade. Here's stuff from the big end, but we also summarize why this benchmark, what are some of the notes, what is the most, when's the best time of year to teach it, vocab from the big end, vocab that is actually relevant. What are the prereqs? Do you see this? Now we did this for every grade level, not just second, but I'm showing you second. What are the verticals, horizontals, and not just the number, because that works for nobody, like the narrative. What are some possible resources, introduction, anything else, summarizing the strand, summarizing the standard. So we've done a lot of work in the background. And because you asked specifically about second, let me actually show you um, the second grade most page. And you're like, oh, I'm really giving away the goods right now. So this is second grade. And I am going to see if I can zoom in because one area in which I'm very passionate is fractions. So I want you to look at this one, Team Tiger, and anyone else who is curious about second grade. And we also did this in first grade. Fractions as written in B.E.S.T, not sufficient to getting them ready for fractions in third. Incredibly lacking, okay? And all of the research in fractions, and I've done a lot because I didn't like teaching it, so I wanted to overcome that, okay? There are three ways that students need to understand fractions. They need to do it in area models, linked models, and set models, where the benchmarks only name area models. Now it's alluded to in measurement for length, and it's alluded to in the repeated addition one left over. You know what I'm talking about in second grade, and sets, but it's not named. So we actually created, we actually kind of created some benchmarks because if there was something lacking, that all the evidence supports it. And you guys, this is one of my major things. We don't just teach second grade, we teach students that are in second grade. So if we teach students that are in second grade, then there's some adjustments we need to make. So yeah, I could just keep with this one, right, as written. It's going to get them through second grade. But that kiddo, when they go to third and fourth, OMG, we're going to see that there was a gap in their understanding of fractional reasoning, like literal fraction sense. So Team Tiger, there you go. There's some things that we added in specifically to second grade. So you can kind of see what it looks like there. So I'll stop share. Let me quick before you ask your question, Andy, your burning question. Let me see if there's any other questions that came up here in the bag. Team Tiger, how was that? Was that good for you second? And Amy O'Neill, also second grade.
I love the transparency. Thank you.
Yep. Let's see. Can't wait to see fifth grade gotcha. They're beneficial. Inclusion of anchor charts. People love that. Does upper elementary have markers for percentage on fast? Like lower had star markings. So I'm going to say no because we start to toe the line of it being a test prep. Now it's up for debate. Now the star ones are there because STAR has identified those as major skills of understanding that a student needs to know if they're behind. So that's why those STAR focus skills are even created by STAR. Do I have them in middle school or elementary or in the EOC courses? No. But we will have ALDs, the achievement level descriptions. And I think it could be worth including in the appendix, the test design summary and blueprint, where they can see it. My worry is that we won't teach some things because they don't appear on the blueprint, even though they are stepping stone to something on the blueprint. So I think that's my worry there. That's a solid question that I'll consider. How about that? Consider. Are they laid out in the scope and sequence from science of math, or is there a calendar component? They are laid out in terms of units. So basically we said if there's 180 days roughly in a school year, we can divide that into 20-day units. So that's 36. We just kind of did the math like that. So we said unit 1 is 4 weeks or 20 days. Here's what I would spend it on. So yes, it is aligned to the science of mathematics, like how to interleave and how to distribute practice. But we did it with the B.E.S.T standards. So that was a question that came through. I hope that answers that question. All right, just checking again if there's any other questions. Team Tiger said thank you. Okay.
I'm loving the in-depth questions. Those are awesome.
They are such fabulous questions. All right. So ask your burning question, Andy. And by the way, while she's asking this, you guys, feel free to put any more questions in either the Facebook group or on YouTube. All right, Andy, I'm all ears. What you got?
So what you're saying is our big M's coupled with our roadmaps is going to be a complete game changer. Complete game changer.
Yes. The big M's that the state put out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then we also offer them as print, like we can print those for you guys. So the state's big M's with our roadmaps.
Yes. Total game changer.
I'm excited about it. I'm super excited. Yeah.
I am very excited too. And I know a lot of folks are super excited because they've already contacted me to get quotes and get the ball rolling and get involved. So the big question I know everybody is wanting to know is how can I get my hands on these?
Okay.
How soon? When are we getting them? How much? All of those burning questions. I get asked every day.
Okay. So I'm going to go back then to the shared screen and see if I can pull back up our sample. Yep, there we go. Let me go ahead and just jump straight to the end here. Okay. So here's your now what. We are doing pre-sales right now through August 31st, everything is $20 off. So like if you pre-order, sorry, I know again, multitasking is a myth. Full screen mode, there we go. If you order through now through August 31st, $20 off, which is great. Now they are varying prices. There's not like one price for all the roadmaps. That would be totally unfair where kindergarten has 20 something benchmarks and algebra has 50 something. Literally it's more pages to print. So we had to consider that. So you can find all the prices on our website, uncomplicated.com math roadmaps. That's if you're individually purchasing them, that's where you want to go. If you are needing a quote or you're like purchasing for a school or district, there's your quote right there. You can scan it. I think I can also drop this in both spots. So here's the quote, the spot for a school for quotes. I'll drop that in both places in case you're needing that. Yeah, perfect. There's that. So I just put it in the Facebook group and I will put it on this YouTube chat if it lets me. Boom, it does. Okay.
Nice.
When are they coming? So again, they're varying prices because there's different benchmarks. Okay, so I can't really go through all of those right now. But they are $20 off through August 31st. When do they come out is a question. So we have them at a guarantee K-5 by the end of September. Probably sooner, but I can't guarantee it. Okay, so lots of things go into that. We want them out sooner too. We want them out before the school year begins, but I don't want to make a promise that I can't keep. So for sure September, maybe earlier, but for sure September. Middle school, the algebra and geometry, as well as the accelerated courses, the advanced. So third and fourth accelerated and sixth, seventh accelerated or advanced. I mix those words up all the time. Those will come out no later at the end of October. So again, hopefully sooner, but I don't want to make a promise I can't keep. So by the end of October, all of them will be in people's hands to having to hold till death do we part from this day forward. That is the what to do next and the how much the prices are.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. That was the big question of the day, I'm sure, for a lot of people. But I appreciate all of our folks online that are asking the more difficult questions and
Yes.
really focusing on how this is going to help them. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. All right. I don't see any other questions coming through. I had people say this is exciting. Looking forward to using it. Love this. Woohoo to coaches. See if there was anything else that came through. Love the inclusion of the anchor charts. We said they're beautiful, beneficial. I love it. You guys, obviously, you know where we can keep the conversation going in the Facebook group. You can also email us. And I'll go ahead and stop share for a second. I'm Ashley at uncomplicated.com. Andy
And
is
I'm
Andy
Andy at
at
uncomplicated.com.
uncomplicated.com.
Yep.
You can head to our website where you can see a sample if you want to like see it and look at it a little bit longer. Feel free, right there on the website. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We're excited about this product and getting them in everyone's hands. Thank you for being on with us today. This will post to our YouTube channel as well. If you have friends that want to catch it, weren't able to catch it live, we'll post it there. In the meantime, you guys enjoy your summer. Some of you are already back to work. Enjoy that time and let us know if we can help with anything.